Previously on American Girl Doll Horror Stories. To do this. More Gloomy Sunday. Hear your news from where you wander without release. To the lands beyond you're driven. Come here for it. It is a given. Now I'm opening the gate you passed through when you met your fate. I beseech you, through the veil, to answer my summons without fail.
Who dare summon me and disturb my peace?
And more winner. We have a friend, who is a mermaid who suddenly transformed into a monster.
A mermaid? You say? Affected by our intentions and emotions. If we fail to control it, it will have dire consequences. That is why your friend turned into a monster. Well, you need 3 things. First, a unicorn horn. Second, the fang of a vampire. Third, an item from another planet. A seer to locate them.
Do you guys know any seers? I know they exist, but they're one of rarest magical creatures to find since they look like ordinary folks. Valeria and Calypso. Sorry to suddenly come like this, but we need your help. Thank you letting us in your house even though it is so late.
Don't mention it. You are all welcome to our house.
Wow! Who would have thought you have a room like this inside? You couldn't tell from looking outside the house.
Well, we usually do not announce our identity as seers to other people. We prefer to just live as normal folks. However, we are happy to help whenever we are asked.
Which reminds me, what can we do for you?
It's kind of a long story.
Okay, we understand now. So you want us to find you a unicorn's horn, a vampire's fang, and an item from another planet?
Yes. Will it be difficult for you to show us the location for those things?
Not at all. We just need to use our crystal ball and ask. It is that easy.
Okay, here it goes.
Water, oil, and candlelight. Bring what we need in sight. Show us what we need to know. Shine, glisten, sparkle, and glow. According to the crystal ball, a werewolf living in the northern part of the Silent Woods has access to unicorns she will be able to provide you with. However, beware, since werewolves are known to get very aggressive when threatened, proceed with caution.
I will take that one if worst comes to worst. I can use my fighting skills.
There is a vampire living in a solitary castle deep in the dark mountains. This vampire is also kind of dangerous since she is suspicious of strangers and might reach negatively when approached. She could also hypnotize people. Like the werewolf, proceed with caution.
I guess I could work with the vampire. I am kind of familiar with the stretch of the land, but this is the first time I heard that there is a castle and a vampire living there.
The last item, an object from another planet, is the hardest one to obtain.
Why? Is it because you have to go to a different planet to get it?
Well, no, but the creature who has it, an alien, moves around so much that it is difficult to pinpoint the exact location.
Yes, the alien does not stay in a single location for so long.
But fret not, we can give you this alarm clock.
This alarm clock is enchanted. Once the alien is near, it will go off and float towards the direction of the alien. But you must be quick since, as we told you, the alien does not keep in place for very long.
Thank you so much. We are very grateful for all your help. Welcome to American Girl Doll Horror Stories, where every week, we will share a spooky story that will send shivers down your thorny spine. I am Gloomy Sunday and I am your narrator. And of course, my cat, Soot. Without further ado, let me call my book of shadows so we can begin tonight's spooky story. By what creeps, what crawls, by what does not. Book of Shadows, dilly-dally not. This story is about a family whose act of kindness almost turned into a tragedy during Christmas. During Christmas, my cousin, let's call her Mara, mysteriously died on her bed. She was an only child and my uncle passed away years ago, so my aunt was all alone. Let's call her Aunt Edna. Aunt Edna and Mara just bought that house and it was supposed to be their first Christmas there when the tragedy happened. The following Christmas, Our family decided that it would be nice to invite Aunt Edna to stay with us for the holidays so she wouldn't be all alone. We wanted her to visit us but she wouldn't travel, so we all agreed to visit her instead. When we arrived at our house, Aunt Edna greeted us and let us in. We noticed she was still very sad, which is understandable since it is the first Christmas since Mara died. My little brother and I were going to sleep in our Mara's old room. My aunt had cleaned everything out in preparation for us. She put a mattress on the ground as well, so that my brother and I didn't have to share a twin bed. We put our suitcases in the closet and headed down to the dining room for dinner. I left first because my brother said he needed to use the restroom. After dinner, we all decided to turn in for bed. We got into town late and the flight across the country was long and exhausting. When I opened a bedroom door, my brother and my suitcases were open and our clothes and belongings were spread all over the room. It wasn't messy though. Everything was laid out open and flat. I looked over at my brother, and was about to yell at him, until I saw the confusion and fear in his eyes. I asked him if he did this. He shook his head, and refused to step into the room. I started picking up the clothes and asked him to come in and help me. Honestly, I was really scared and didn't want to be in the room alone. He continued to refuse. Part of me was angry that he wouldn't come help me, so turned over to him, ready to yell, until I saw his face. He was whimpering, tears dripping down his chin. I followed his eyes to the closet. The little hairs on my neck stood up. Someone was in there. I couldn't make out who it was, but someone was definitely there. I turned to my brother again, and tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. My body was so heavy. My brother ran. I heard his footsteps hurrying down the stairs. I tried to yell but nothing came out. I turned to the closet again. I was able to make out more of the figure now. She was tall. I saw her long arms and fingers, as she stood up from where she had been sitting. I swear, I had stopped breathing at that time, because I was so scared. She moved towards me. She didn't walk. She just seemed to get closer and closer. I heard my mom yell from the hallway, and then the door slammed shut. The lights shut off and I felt the cold, long fingers grab my wrists. They pulled me violently. I heard glass shattered, and then the bedroom door broke open. Everything was a blur at the time. I just felt coldness all over me, and then I didn't. When I came to, my dad had his arms around my waist next to the broken window. I suddenly felt intense pain on my face and hands. My mom started wiping my face and that's when I saw the blood. There was so much blood. My dad picked me up, and carried me into the dining room. By now, I could really feel the pain. I could hear my aunt on the phone. She and my mom were crying. My brother was standing next to my dad, and then we heard the loudest banging I've ever heard in my life coming from the back door. My dad grabbed my brother and held me even tighter than he already was. The banging continued for about 30 seconds. I could feel the house rumbling with each pound. Suddenly, it stopped. When it did, I realized my mom and Ann were next to us now as well. We were all huddled together next to the dining table. My mom and Aunt were hugging my brother. I could hear my mom praying, begging for help. We stayed that way until the police arrived 10 to 15 minutes later. He ended up staying at a hotel that night and then rented a house for the week. My aunt didn't come back with us immediately. She tried to fight through her fears, and thought this was a one-time occurrence, but it wasn't. When she eventually came to stay with us a month later, she said she saw the tall woman outside in her yard a few nights. That her daughter's bedroom door would always be open every morning, even after she remembers closing it at night before going to sleep. The house was sold in March and we haven't experienced anything abnormal since. I know what you're thinking. Was the woman my cousin Mara? No, she didn't look anything like Mara. But we suspect that she had something to do with Mara's death. We are just happy that we got out of that house and that Aunt Edna is safe. But the identity of that ghost who came out at Christmas is still a mystery. It is a good thing that the sender and her family was able to escape that house unscathed. Too bad for Mara, help was too late for her. I hope that we all have a very merry and safe Christmas, or if you do not celebrate, a meaningful holiday. That is all for tonight's spooky story. Please come back next week as we share another scary story from the dark side of the world.